Divide!
Devoid.
Before time began, there was the cube.
Depot. Devoid.
I'm a bad little, I don't want it.
This?
Sucks. That's right, it sucks.
So much perversion. All right, with much reluctance and a bit of shame, we welcome you back to Depot Devoid for the remaining entry in our conversation titled Let's Ruin Transformers. Ted, we've been working our way up to this, the moment of truth, the greatest film of all time.
My name is
But only
Ted
for
Fagan,
now.
and this movie is titled, much to my chagrin and fear of the zombie apocalypse that I have been praying for years. I might actually end up having a problem with Michael Bay if we have the zombie apocalypse, because this movie is titled, Eat My Whole Ass, Michael Bay.
Wait, why would Michael Bay call his own movie that?
Because he's a piece of shit.
Oh, this okay. If for some reason you are just joining us right now, this far into the conversation, let's recap. The whole point of this discussion is to figure out how we can make a worse Transformers movie than 2007's Transformers. And to that end, we have visited the very beginning of the Transformers cartoon and the 1986 Transformers movie to try to unlock the delicious secrets of the Transformers and why their gravy is so savory. And now we have finally come to 2007's Transformers. Ted, can we make a worse movie than this?
We can,
I think
but
we
I
can.
am going to say, this isn't going to be our final installment because we have to work through this pile of shit to get to the meat of what it all can be.
We need to, I think this is the last part that we need to do for actual viewing of Transformers media, but I think at the very least we need to reconvene, each of us having created a treatment for a worse Transformers movie and then pitch them. I mean, that's the obvious next step, correct?
Oh, 100%. We're going to have to pitch a vague outline of what we would do.
And I think that we can each come up with a terrible plan, and see if maybe we should combine them into an ultimate, like Devastator, combine them together into an even worse thing.
Yes. Devastator was great, except for in this movie, but we'll get to that. We'll get there.
So this movie definitely does give us some spectacular material in terms of how to ruin the Transformers. But yeah, it's clear that he didn't go into this movie with the actual stated intention of ruining the Transformers, and that's where he went wrong.
Yeah, he failed by doing the thing right that he meant to do well, but didn't know shit about dick. Also, by the way, Matt, I have to apologize here. If I happen to seem a little bit cooler than I normally am, a little bit more awesome than you today, it's just because I've started doing crack cocaine. And I know that makes people really extra cool. So, I mean, just like, bear with me. I'm special as fuck.
Like, so cool that you could, like, piss on a giant robot.
I am way better than that little shit dog. I am way better. I would piss all over the foot, not just on a toe. I would win. Michael Bay would be like, holy shit,
This movie.
you got my Europhilia action going hard. But no, in reality, I'm not doing crack cocaine. I've just been on call for the last week. So I haven't been sleeping a lot because I've been making sure that I would be like ready for the phone to go off. And I got through the entire week without the on-call phone for work going off until 2:05 this morning. At which point I got a call and I had to go to work. And I don't do good about getting back to sleep. And so I've spent a week not sleeping good anyway. And
awesome.
And now I've got like maybe I got another half hour, 45 minutes of sleep after I got back home before I went to work. So I am hyper cool. And I don't do sleep deprivation like I used to when I was a good insomniac. I'm a normal sleep person most times. So you're
all
dealing.
Right. Well, it sounds like you have had a great time the last few days.
You're dealing with this, Ted.
And I'm sure that watching this movie has only made your mood better.
Oddly enough, I appreciated it slightly more than I have the previous times, largely based on what we're doing.
How many times have you seen this? Do you remember?
This was probably the 4th time.
Okay. And when was, like, how long ago was the last time?
Vincent would have probably been 9.
Okay.
So about 8 years ago.
It's been a minute. All right.
2015 probably.
I'm very sure I only saw this once, like probably the day that it came out on DVD. In 2007 or maybe 8, depending on how long after its theatrical premiere it came out. I did not remember much about this movie, and that was probably the best way to go into it. Yeah, it's hard to put myself into the mindset of what he was trying to accomplish with this story. It certainly wasn't to honor the source material.
No.
Yeah,
trying to discuss his aims and angles is not really going to be useful because he didn't really get anything.
And not much happens in this movie, really. Like there's a lot of events, but in terms of an actual unfolding story, it's not a whole lot that goes on besides some intermittent mayhem. I will say that before time began, there was the cube.
Stop right there. This movie starts out with fucking space Jesus. It's fucking bullshit. It's a holy war.
Well, actually, hold that thought, because that's actually part of my general idea for how to make this all worse. But I will say that this is a great, terrible way to start. Because that first fucking narration line, it is like, oh, this is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Before time began.
Yeah,
there was a cube before time began.
Yeah.
Before time began.
It's the burning bush before it turned into a bush, Matt.
We know not where it came from. That is even like the worst possible sentence structure. Everything about this opening is bad. And that, my friend, is good. That's a good thing. That's a good bullshit thing to do. I appreciate that. I think that the thing to do there is to learn that lesson and again double down on it. And I have some ideas about that, but I don't want to. How much of this story do we need to even lay out here?
A little bit, but also in
trying to explain this story to people is going to be hopeless, and it will take as long as the movie to explain 15 minutes of actual events.
Yeah, but we also need to catch on a couple of different things, like in that whole opening sequence where Optimus Prime is telling us a bunch of horseshit bullshit about, oh yes, and Space Jesus was a cube, and then after the Decepticons were bad with it, it went away somehow that we won't tell you about, and then it went to an unknown planet called Earth. Which also later in Michael Bay's fucking bullshit movies, this unknown planet called Earth features also seeing Optimus Prime saying, "Oh yeah, I was on Earth before. Did this a few different times. I've been on Earth before a lot. Yeah, no, I'm lying to yourself and meself. We just do this. I'm a bad Autobot.
I'm a bad little Autobot.
Check out my piss parties. Ah.
Stop lubricating the man.
We learned English and pornography from the internet.
From your World Wide Web. eBay!
Are you
there is
ladies
so
man
much
217?
Product placement. So much product placement in this movie.
It's unacceptable.
Holy shit. Okay, this is obviously not a great movie. Basically, the MacGuffin is this cube, which is also called the Allspark. It's some bullshit magic thing that brings shit to life. And without it, you can't make more new Transformers, I guess. So that's why we care about it. And the Autobots and the Decepticons fought over it until they basically destroyed Cybertron and went galumphing across the universe. There's apparently a little bit more explanation in the comics that makes a little more sense, but there's no reason to give this movie the benefit of the doubt. So I'm just going to skip over that and say they launched the cube randomly into space, and this is where it came. And apparently Megatron made it all the way here a long ass time ago and got frozen in the ice before he'd get to the cube. And now the Autobots are here, blah, 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 blah.
But hey, just to be completely fair here, one of the Autobots here is to try and help real cannibal Shia LaBeouf become a date rapist.
That's actual
cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
Surprise!
Trying to help him become a date rapist.
But yeah, Bumblebee. Yeah, Bumblebee. There's a lot of weird shit. He's supposed to be 16. Shia LaBeouf in this movie is 16. He's like
and
20
Megan Fox
in real
is supposed
life,
to
but
be that too.
But yeah, he's their children. So we've got Shia LaBeouf playing essentially a variation on Spike from the cartoon. His dad is definitely not Sparkplug.
No.
So basically, Shia LaBeouf gets pulled into all of this nonsense when he buys a car
without a title.
That is a Transformer. Bernie Mac sells them a car that doesn't belong to him. Because I guess he wants to be bought. Here's the my god, this whole thing with the glasses is so fucking dumb. It's amazing. I can't even I want to be mad about it because it's so stupid. Back a million okay, well, no, like 100 years ago, the Shia LaBeouf's great grandpa LaBeouf found Megatron in the Arctic and accidentally activated his navigation system,
which the rest of them doesn't fucking work.
Right, but that did. And that, for some reason, imprints on Archibald LaBeouf's glasses the map to the Ark of the Covenant. And makes him go crazy.
He goes,
fucking glasses have a magic Transformers map on it now, which everybody wants. And
magic glasses.
That's the whole start of the movie is about them chasing the magic glasses to get the thing that they want, which, P.S., doesn't matter because the government already has the thing they're after anyway. So none of that matters. It's complete waste of time.
Yes, it's all a waste of time. But hey, you know what? it's not a waste of time when we learn about Michael Bay is a Europhiliac.
Well, you are clearly the Europhiliac, so you should cover this topic for us. You should
I am
cover
an
it, cover it
anti-Europhiliac.
with your warm body temperature wisdom.
Well, here's the thing. Dog pisses on foot. Robot's like, want to squish dog. Meat Boy's like, don't squish dog. He just go pee pee. And then just a few minutes later in the movie, fuck, which one was it? Popped off his obvious piss strap to pee on somebody and urinates all over what's his face from Sector 7?
What I have written down is Bumblebee, stop lubricating the man.
Bumblebee, stop lubricating the man.
There we go. Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's what I'm going with.
We sure do see right quick. And I know that I've seen 2 or 3 more of these garbage films that Michael Bay has produced about giant robots urinating on people and dogs and shit. He loves piss. He's a piss boy. I am
sure I believe you. I do not. I have seen at least 1.5 more of these movies, but I don't remember any amount of it.
There's piss. He loves piss. It's weird.
That does not surprise me at all. It's all very juvenile, and actually, like, we don't see Optimus Prime until an hour into this movie, and then for the next like half an hour, it's just like comedy hijinks,
which is not
Autobots.
What Transformers is about.
No, it's really weird. But here's the thing: the stuff with the parent, it's actually like, it's funny, like it works on the level that it's trying to work on, but it's just like, it doesn't need to be here. Like, they have really good actors cast as Shia LaBeouf's parents. I like both of those actors very much, and they're quite engaging and they're funny. But like, why? Like, why is any of this happening?
Because they couldn't find a plot to make anything useful. They could not figure out how to do it intelligently. That's partially probably why
I mean, you're absolutely correct. But was there an attempt to do that? Like, where is any of this coming from? Like, it seems like he's sort of concerned with showing us like his ability to do deep dive into the material, but he's got like that he's got that Decepticon chopper and like Scorponok, like Transformers that you're not looking forward to seeing. Like, that's what he's giving you up front. What is he trying to communicate to the audience with this story? I don't get it.
And he also doesn't get like the transformation process wasn't even good. We see so many Decepticons that look like one another to the point where it's hard to tell them apart. We don't know who's who very well. Well, it's embarrassing.
Generally speaking, the robot forms are just really ugly. Like, almost all of them are just unpleasant to look at. Yeah. And they're like weird and pointy with a lot of unnecessary bits. Like, it's just not pleasant. Like the toys for this movie, I don't want to play with, you know. The cartoons, I watch that, I'm like, I want to play with all of those. I want to play with those toys and transform them. The ones in this movie gives you like standing there in real life in front of you giant robots. You should be able to give me something that I'm like, holy fuck, I want to play with that. And I don't want to play with any of them.
No, and I bought a couple of toys for my kids from this when it came out, because, you know, I have recollections of playing with Transformer toys when I was a kid, and they were fun. You transform them, and then you drive them around, and then you turn them into robots, and you run them around. But with these, they could not transform them into either form without my assistance. And it was a little bit frustrating on my end. And then once you have it in car form, it's like the fucking legs and arms keep trying to flop out. You can't even drive the son of a bitch around. And then You get it into robot form and it's all falling to pieces. It doesn't work right. These are not good
Interesting.
toys.
We actually
gross.
like we took a little trip, like a day trip to Walla Walla last week, and it occurred to me, we stopped at some random place on the side of the road, like one of those, like, it looks like someone just owns a freestanding garage, and every once in a while they open it up to the public, and it turns out they've got a bunch of weird shit that they're selling. And we're browsing around in one of those places, and there's literally like a big ass, like a 12-inch tall Optimus Prime toy from this movie. And I was like, oh, Optimus Prime. And it wasn't until like after we left that it occurred to me, like, I never even thought about picking it up and transforming it. Like, it did not even cross my mind, which is stupid. Like, I should have wanted to do that. Like, how, like, that's pretty impressive. Like, I just didn't even want to play with it. I mean, also it's probably gross, but still, like, I didn't want to play with it. Like, it's not a good toy.
It's not. It's ugly.
So yeah, we've got a lot, like an hour's worth of not a whole lot happening. Decepticons infiltrating in a scheme that doesn't matter because the government already has both the Allspark and Megatron in custody in the Hoover Dam, which, I mean, that's kind of cute.
Why the fuck not? At this point, why? I mean, there was a dam in More Than Meets the Eye, so let's bring a dam into it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Speaking of which, they also like do that Prime and Megatron like transforming fist weapon thing.
They did, but here's one thing that I want to bring up right around the point in this garbage that we're talking about here. Devastator comes into the movie.
I feel like I halfway noticed that, and then just I faded in and out a little bit. This movie is not very engaging. I tried to watch, but I feel like every time I started to take notes, I like found excuses to to look away for longer than I needed to.
Devastator was a tank.
Just a tank?
Devastator was a tank.
And it was called Devastator?
They called it Devastator. It was a tank.
For real?
Yep.
I don't understand.
Obviously, Michael Bay didn't either. He just took a name and stuck it on a thing.
What?
Yep.
But I mean, there is a tank. Its name is Blitzkrieg.
It is. And also, in later Michael Bay movies, I don't remember which one, if it was the second or the third, they go to Egypt and they destroy the Great Pyramid with Devastator, which was
like the proper one.
I mean, it had the components, but it turned into some garbage machine.
An analog to the proper one, as opposed to a tank.
Yeah, it was the Constructicons that formed Devastator and destroyed the Great Pyramid.
Okay, huh. This movie is not a love letter to the Transformers.
No, it's not. And I gotta ask one question here. So Megatron, they finally thaw his bitch ass out. He starts moving, and then he starts smashing things and says, "I am Megatron."
Oh no, Ted, he says that before he even smashes anything.
Oh, you're
as
right.
soon as he is conscious, he yells, "I am Megatron." And this is where I stopped and I took a note and I wrote, Megatron gets loose and declares, "I am Megatron." I don't think I can do any worse than that.
Like, he hasn't even been connected to the web.
To Michael Bay in this moment.
Yeah, he hasn't been connected to the web. He crash landed on Earth 10,000 years ago in Antarctica, has had no experience to English, no exposure whatsoever other than being frozen and non-receptive, and says, "I am Megatron." And then later, like, chastises Stark, screaming English. Why are they, up until that point, the Decepticons are only speaking in some language. What is this? Why are we bringing out the English now?
Ted, I'll tell you there's the actual answer. It's the TARDIS. It gets inside your head and translates.
All right,
Or
I'm going to ask now.
Babelfish?
It might be. What's this movie actually about, Matt?
Oh, fucking A. Is it is it a, I mean, I think that according to Michael Bay's own declaration, the answer is big fucking robots, because that's the only thing he seems to understand that Transformers is about, because it's not about the Transformers. Is it about anything? I don't think it's what is it? What is it about? I'm at a loss.
See, initially, I would like to say it's about giant fucking robots.
It's not. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
about
not.
anything.
It's not. It's not about giant fucking robots. What it's about, as best as I can tell, with all of the analyzing that I have done up until this point, it's an unrealistic set of expectations that two giant robots have in a sad and uninteresting meat boy and a girl with very small thumbs. And Europhilia.
I've heard a lot of rumors about her thumbs, but I've never really paid attention to them.
They're real little.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I mean, as much as it's about anything, I guess. I never felt it was really hard to feel engaged in a meaningful way with any of the action of this movie. And considering what my intention is with revisiting this movie, that's fine. Those are all very good notes. But it was in much the same way as like the movie Alien versus Predator Requiem makes me wonder like how a movie that bloody can be that boring. This movie makes me ask the question like how can a movie with a bunch of giant fucking robots smashing stuff be that boring? And but it is. Like it's just like I just don't care about like much of anything that's happening. Even though, and I'll say it again, like you can call me an idiot for this, and people, I know people have strong opinions about him, but like I think that actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf is really good in this. That doesn't matter. Like and like who cares that you're really good in Transformers? But he is. Like I think he's really good. but it's this Transformers movie. It has a weirdly strong cast. John Turturro, what are you doing here, John Turturro? Anthony Anderson, why are these people in this movie? It's fucking weird.
And I get why John Voight's there.
Hugo Weaving is the voice of Megatron. Like, what the fuck? I just don't get it.
They had a huge budget and a real poor execution. I mean, the fight scenes with the robots are uninteresting too. I mean, I'm sure they spent a great deal of money with all the like moving parts shots, but these moving parts were not good. They were very poor.
I want to look at them and to believe that they can really be transformed from that form to this form. And that never happens in this movie. I never look at it and believe the transformation. I see a lot of moving parts, but I don't believe that it's doing what you're telling me it's doing, which again, like that's probably like something maybe we could amp up and make even more annoying. You're talking about the money spent. That's another thought that I had was it's while I was watching, we're up at the point with the big scorpion in the desert. And I was watching that thinking, it's clear, like looking at the screen, it is obvious how much fucking cash they dumped into this. And they spent a lot of money to not show me anything that I want to see, still an hour into this movie. And like that's palpable. It's like that's kind of a big fuck you, and maybe that's something else that you can think about.
Yeah, it's really all sorts of embarrassing and irritating. And you know what? Now that I work as a bearing salesman, I got annoyed with the scorpion going into the sand and being like, I get it. These robots, they're naturally occurring robots with their naturally occurring gears and sprockets and chains and apparently guns from their alien planet with the allspark and blah blah blah. But they also
they canonically lubricate each other. So
they do. They piss all over each other.
As long as he was properly juiced up when he was dropped off.
Yeah, when he's dropping into that sand, I gotta tell you, you can seal a bearing as much as you want, but if you're trying to do what that scorpion was doing, he's gonna get some sand all up in his bits.
Naturally self-lubricating nanites?
No thanks.
Fish oil supplements?
Maybe he's finding some sand crabs and grinding them up in there.
That is as likely as anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of like covering the story, we're pretty much to the end. Not really anything happens.
Oh no, there's a little bit more that we're going to need to talk about after we.
Well, yeah, I just want to finish sort of like hitting the main points of the plot, and then we can get into a little more of the nitty gritty. Because we got Megatron released. Who cares? We get Bumblebee released from torture because we got to torture a robot so that we feel empathy or whatever. It proves that they're bad because they torture the robot. So then he gets out and fucking Allspark transforms into a more portable version of the Allspark,
which is so much lighter.
And then they go and run and fight and battle and fight and highway roller skate and sacrifice, and Shia LaBeouf hangs out on a ledge, blah, 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 blah. Optimus Prime keeps going on and on about how if he doesn't get to defeat Megatron, then he's going to put the cube into his chest and sacrifice himself to destroy it because the Decepticons can't be allowed to possess it.
Oh, and he needs the little meat man to put it in his chest. He ain't gonna do it his own big self.
I thought he meant like if he was so unable to defeat Megatron that he was like physically unable to do it himself.
Yeah, we'll cover that here later. Because
you think it's one of those like I cannot self-terminate situations?
No, I think that it's just fucking stupid.
Anyway, Shia LaBeouf shoves it up Megatron instead. That's basically how it ends, is Megatron's defeated. And then the Transformers just hang out on Earth as it is in heaven.
But there's more to it. You passed over some real important parts there, Matt.
I hear you, because I want to go back and talk about some stuff in detail and some broad strokes of how we can wreck this bitch, and then we'll come back next time and pitch our own Transformers movies.
Did you ever watch Fievel Goes West?
I don't. That's the second one, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I did.
Well, there's a line in it where the dad, I believe, is talking to Fievel, and he says that when you go to America, it's great because in America there are no cats. In my movie, there's no piss.
That's what you think.
Or that's what she said.
You think you got final
we'll
cut.
Be back. Welcome back to Pissformers, a Michael Bay story.
What's the sound effect for that?
So I took a Michael Bay, and while I was taking my Michael Bay, I think I figured out what I want my story to be about, or at least this is a tentative idea. So
Okay.
the Autobots and the Decepticons have come to Earth. And as per the original story, the Decepticons are just trying to get back to Cybertron. That's just what they want. They need enough energon to get back to Cybertron. And Megatron's all like, hey, we just need enough of this energon to get back to Cybertron. And Optimus is like, no, Megatron, you can't do that. And he's like, come on, I just need enough power to get me and my guys back there. And he's like, why? Why? What gives you the right? He's like, well, I just need to get my guys out of here so that we're going to get out of their hair. He's like, no. Why should the people of this planet subsidize your ability to do what you want to do? You're the ones who crossed the border. You weren't welcomed here. You did this on your own. Why should they help you? I'm just trying to get home. Why should they let you do that? I won't allow it. One shall stand, one shall go to jail. You'll get extradition later, maybe.
How much did you love that they revisited that line from the Transformers movie?
They did it very poorly.
Ugh. So subtle.
Yeah. One shall stand, one shall not be allowed to be deported.
Oh yeah, this I had a few ideas watching this that I think can just form some general guiding principles for approaching my I don't have a story yet. I'm not going to try to pitch until next time. But just some general observations. Like I said, it's an hour into the movie before we actually see Optimus Prime, and I think that whole withholding of what we as an audience want to see is a fine approach for being an unsatisfying film. I think that's good. There's not really a great way to escalate that unless you just don't show any Transformers, which would technically be an unsatisfying Transformers movie, but I think it also would be a bit of a cheat. So there's a couple of elements, moving parts here that I need to talk to you about before I combine them into my structural goal for my movie. Okay, so first we've got this idea of withholding, and that's where I started, and I feel like maybe I can't do that. So like, how can I be unsatisfying without withholding the Transformers? And then I kept watching and realizing as I'm watching that the only part of this movie that works consistently on any level is the human interactions, which is weird. And I think that the way to be really unsatisfying, and we got a bit of this from the 1986 movie, the further we get from Earth and the people that we know, like the lower the stakes seem to be to us. And here in this movie, we have some good human interaction and a lot of really shitty robot interaction. So the solution, of course, is to remove all the human characters entirely. So there's no one for us to relate to. And then I thought, well, the problem there is that then the movie's like even more plotless and short. So then we got those big battles on the highway at the end where everything starts turning into slow motion. And I'm like, okay, here's the solution to all of this at once. We remove all of the human characters from the movie, so we don't relate at all. We focus only on the robots. But every single bit of robot violence is in slow motion. And that way, we can still bloat the movie to a 3-hour running time, even though fucking nothing happened. So that's my structure. And I'll fill in the rest as we go along.
That works. And here's the thing that I've watched or noticed when watching this movie that's really frustrating to me is we do see human interaction and relationship with the robots in all of the other platforms.
Yes.
But the story is Transformers. And up until this single point, when Michael Bay did this garbage movie, up until this point, it's about giant robots.
Yes.
It involves their relationships that may or may not develop with lesser, shorter, squishier life forms. But it's about the giant robots.
That's
It's
true.
not
Yeah.
about the humans. And this movie is about the humans, which is not what it's supposed to be.
Correct. Yeah, that is a very important observation. Yeah, it is way too much about actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf and his pals
Yeah.
in the
Short
Magnificent
thumbs.
Seven. Yeah. So I did want to bring up I had you watch a clip from Fright Night Part 2, which
Rollerblades on the freeway.
yes, anyone who has seen Fright Night Part 2 remembers the roller skating vampire. And I was reminded of this as we were watching the Transformers scooching along after each other on the freeway. And I think that we need to really lean into that. And that's where I really started feeling the value of slow motion for bloating this out, and giving us a lot of really long robot scenes that we don't care about. So I think that the more they engage in obvious analogs for other types of human behaviors like roller skating, the better, because that is really annoying every time it happens, and it's so obvious. And I think we need all of them to do that.
So
And
you think
maybe
that
they
we
could
need
each have
more
their own
piss?
signature move. Like we could like one of them does the roller skating thing, and one of them does like ollies, and one of them does loop the loops.
And more bathroom breaks, not only just pissing, we need to bring in defecation from robots.
Cartwheels, lots of cartwheels.
I bet Unicron pooped some stuff out.
Yeah, probably energon cubes.
Yeah,
Oh, that's another thing that I was thinking of, is it would be kind of fun, in by which I mean exasperating, if the Transformers, since the Allspark is the creator god, if they just developed an explicitly religious relationship with the cube. And in fact, the reason that they use energon cubes is not because there is any sort of greater utility to that form, but because it is used as an iconographic tribute to their creator god.
That could work. That could work.
And you could have at least one character from each faction be like an insane religious zealot. Ooh, and then Shia LaBeouf could convert. He could be the first human missionary of the Cybertronian religion.
Just poke him with it and see what happens. give him an implant of some kind, and then stab the implant with it, and be like, "Argh!"
Well, he's got that shard at the end. Like, why can't we just jam that in? Just jam it into his spine.
Let's go right for the hippocampus. It'll be more fun.
Just like stick it in his pineal gland.
Yeah.
Can start having crazy visions.
Before we get too far off, I do have a couple more questions about this. I'm not going to worry about my long-standing irritation with the give the cube to the meat sack that the robots are constantly catching up with and stopping. He's a useless piece of shit. He is the most useless character in the movie who can't do anything right. And they're like, here, meatball. I'm not going to go on that big long rant. But question. The cube, the Allspark, anything that they touch to it or channel its energy into is an explosive, mean ball of shit that's trying to kill everything. Clearly a bad Decepticon. Why is it that everything that the Allspark makes is evil? Why don't they poke something and it's like,
depends on
hey,
who
bro.
used it last.
Maybe.
They just need to change the settings, right?
No, that doesn't work though, because the last robot that touches it before it starts making a vending machine turn into a murderous robot was Bumblebee.
Okay. Well, did he utilize it though?
Hard saying.
I
He
mean,
touched
maybe it
it,
was just
turned it into a smaller cube, gave it to Meat Boy, and then Meat Boy
okay.
accidentally
Yeah.
poached stuff.
Yeah. I guess it seems like he was pretty strongly interacting with it. Huh.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I don't know why I'm like doing that fanboy thing where he's automatically trying to like find an explanation that works, like as though this movie deserved defending.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. And then
Yeah.
here's
No, it doesn't make any sense at all.
no. And here's my last note on this flaming dumpster fire. After Sam refuses to shove the allspark up Optimus's chest
Mhm.
and instead chucks it up into Megatron's
Which
and
is a pretty
murders
big
him.
fucking risk.
Yeah. He doesn't know what that's going to do. He doesn't
No,
know shit
he
about Dick.
Optimus Prime says that he'll destroy it, but he never says that that's an automatic thing.
Yeah,
Like,
no, not at all. it was a very poor decision on Meat Sack's choice or Meat
yeah, he
Sack's end,
got
but
lucky.
he did it. So after that's done, and Megatron is dead as fuck, Optimus says what?
I don't remember.
You left me no choice, brother.
That's right, and I remember thinking, but you didn't do anything.
Uh-huh.
I didn't write that down. I sort of stopped writing at some
Yeah.
point at the end.
That was a really irritating point for me.
Yeah,
It's
he
like,
he did nothing
Yeah.
at all. That was weird.
he failed to kill him. He failed to stop him. He failed to do good in a fight. And then wee little meat sack who can't do shit right sort of maybe kind of killed him. And then Optimus is like, I did this.
Yeah, well, he's that's how you become a prime. Is just he's just claiming fucking credit for everything.
Yeah. So anyway, dumpster fire.
Yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. So yeah, that's I mean that's basically it in terms of what happens in this movie, because it's what actually happens doesn't matter. What matters is the ways that Michael Bay's movie was disappointing, and how we can learn from those mistakes and then replicate them better on purpose. And I think he gives us really a lot to work with here. I think that that the ridiculous MacGuffin is a really great starting point, because it's immediately alienating, and immediately like separates itself from what I'm looking for. I think the focus on Transformers that we don't care about is also a great place to start. I think I have learned from his accidental success with the human characters that as a terrible filmmaker, I don't want to make that mistake. And so I'm going to leave them out of my movie. I think a lot of slow motion and a lot of really ugly transformation, because that's another thing is we don't see much transformation for a long time into the movie. So I think we just need I want to see a lot more of it, but I want it to suck even more than this does. I'm not sure how to achieve that. I'm really not. Like some of the stuff he sucks so well at that I'm not sure how to just like go further than that, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try for next time to figure out how to make all of these elements fail to converge in a helpful way.
I like it.
What are your biggest takeaways from Michael Bay's failure?
I don't think that focusing a movie about giant robots around people is a good choice. I don't think that ascribing too many human aspects is a good idea, because I mean that was a big failure, especially pissing.
Oh
I mean
yeah. Oh
that's
yeah. Those are great.
no piss, no piss in Transformers. It's not necessary. It.
But
Let me put it this way: if they needed to relieve their lubricant and replace their lubricant, it would not have to come out of the crotch. It would probably drain out of the lower extremities, because that's the lowest point where all the bad stuff settles. You know?
um I mean that's yes, that's all very fair. But since those are like shitty aspects of Michael Bay's movie, um are you sure that your movie shouldn't have all of that stuff in it since it's awful?
Oh no, I
Like,
just said that it should come out the lower extremities. I'm meaning it needs to squirt out the eyes.
so
I need
you're
to
just
change
going
my oil.
you're you're going your movie is going to have violently weeping Transformers.
It's going to be a Japanimation.
I look forward to next week. I'm thinking and I don't have this broken down yet, but I mentioned this a little bit when we talked about the Transformers TV series. Um but one of the things that I like is the idea of changing the way that transformation is depicted on the screen. Like, for example, doing the wonder spin like Linda Carter. And I think that what I might do for my Transformers movie is either have the Autobots and the Decepticons separately transform in some awful, off-putting way that is unique to their clan, or if I can think of enough terrible ideas, maybe each transformer can have a different, totally fucked up way of transforming, like turning into a werewolf style, or like using the bat pole. We'll
I like
see.
it.
We'll see how many ways I can do it. There's a lot of ways that characters transform in literature. So
I'm going to probably fuck this up in a far too literal way, just because I can.
I think that's always a good approach.
Why not?
Being overly literal is one of the greatest sources of humor. So be careful that you don't accidentally make it too entertaining.
Oh no, no, it won't be. It's going to be a very short film. It's going to be like that little Roger Rabbit short at the beginning of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Okay. You mean tummy trouble?
Yeah, yeah. Transformer Trouble.
Very nice. That's I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous because I'm intrigued and I kind of want to see it. So I hope that you are able to put a damper on that when when you present the idea. I hope I can too. I mean, I suffer from just being a terribly clever and hilarious person, so I'm a little worried that I might inadvertently entertain. So I may have to go through a couple of drafts, and if you do not enjoy what I bring you, it is because that is what I wanted to happen.
And in my particular case, I'm extremely sleep deprived. I just came up with this idea while I was taking a Michael Bay, and I I don't know where it's going to go. It could be entirely different after I take a
Hey,
sleep.
sleep deprivation is an excellent way to pursue creative endeavors, and I am would not be at all surprised to learn that Michael Bay himself was eating big handfuls of speed while he made this movie.
Or paying somebody else to.
Paying somebody else to feed him big handfuls of speed?
Yeah.
Or to eat speed on his behalf.
Yes. And then the urophilia comes into
And just
play.
talk his ear off. Do you think that Michael Bay just pays someone to pee on him the whole time that he's directing?
Let me put it this way. When we actually go live with our podcast and we slowly never become properly famous and his career wanes, we'll get him on here to tell us about his piss parties.
But I don't want to hear it.
You asked the question, I'll bring the answer.
I asked what you think. I did not ask for actual information.
Actual urophiliac Michael Bay.
I mean, clearly he's got an interest. Yeah. There's does that come up in other robot movies? I feel like it probably does, though, actually. Maybe not as often or as assertively.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other robot movies, and all I can think of is Short Circuit right now. I don't think he's a lot of peeing in Short Circuit.
And there was one pee scene.
Was there?
I think there was. But I think that was in Short Circuit too.
Well, that doesn't count.
Yeah. And there never was any nun soup.
There wasn't. That's the whole like Fisher Stevens playing an Indian is a little hard to watch now, but overall, it's not a bad movie.
No, it's not.
I like robot movies, and I don't like this movie, so I'm trying to figure out what all of the secrets are, and I feel like peeing can't be that unique to this, because anthropomorphizing robots is sort of the point of a lot of robot movies, but I feel like there is an unusual focus on it and a recurring theme.
I mean, it does happen in more than this one. So, I mean, really, Michael Bay just likes pics.
I mean, don't people just think peeing is funny? Isn't that just like a dumb comedy trope? I don't know if it's I'm not trying to defend Michael Bay. I'm just like,
it sounds like you're trying to defend Michael Bay and his love of piss.
I'm just wondering if it is as much a Michael Bay quality as it is a bad comedy quality. And I don't know enough. Like, I haven't watched a lot of Michael Bay movies, so I don't know if this is a theme that he revisits all the time. Because if it is, then that's like, that's a him thing. But I'm just, in this isolated film, I'm not totally convinced that this is not just a bullshit comedy thing, because that whole Autobot like the first 40 minutes the Autobots are in the movie is a lot of really bad comedy, like stepping on flower beds. Oh, my bad, says Optimus Prime. Come on.
Like 3 times. I mean, seriously, like they drugged that out for so long.
Maybe that's one thing that I should do is a straight up like physical comedy, like Buster Keaton scene featuring only Transformers.
All right, have fun with that.
I hate it already.
I mean, I'm not trying to make a good movie. I'm trying to make a real bad short, which could essentially sell a real bad movie.
Yeah, there's so many promising ways to make this bad that I'm looking forward to this. I don't know if I could have made it all the way through this movie this second time if it wasn't for the purpose of trying to imagine a worse version.
Oh, I just figured out the key to all of this, and I'm not even gonna fucking tell you.
Great. Please don't.
It's oh god, it's It's so much better now, Matt.
Well, maybe it'll be a double bill. I can be your B movie.
It's gonna get great.
Oh, I can hardly wait. Yeah, this has been a real journey. Um, it's I'm still I'm not sure that this is a worse movie than Transformers 1986, but I don't know if it's a worse Transformers movie. They both are like uniquely unsatisfying as someone whose main interest in Transformers admittedly is pretty narrow to like seasons 1 and 2 of the original G1 cartoon.
Yes. Yes. And the 1986 film was a bridge between what was the original series toys and what was the new series toys. And they did a decent enough job at that, but I hated the cartoon after that. I couldn't get on board. I never followed it, never wanted to. But I did always like that 1986 film. I think because they executed it well for a child of my age. And sorry, but you got the touch.
It's well, yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that, like I assume that this movie had a soundtrack. I don't remember any of it. Like not one song. I would be surprised if there weren't any songs in it, but yeah, can you think of any? Yeah.
Vacant stare looking at guitars on the wall. No.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Oh wait,
really...
no. There were like 4 different songs that Bumblebee was trying to play when he was trying to be a 1980s rapist car.
Yeah.
For that was the date rape scene in that, the robot trying to be a date rapist wingman? What the fuck?
This
Sucks. That's right, it sucks.
What
well,
the
also, right,
fuck?
when we met him, he was introduced to us in a scene where they were just being needlessly disrespectful to the original Bumblebee. Like, what was that about?
Yeah, no, it was.
They're like, fuck you, other Bumblebee. What? What? Why are you like this?
Product placement. We hate you.
Like,
Let's go date rape now.
It is such a weird approach to Transformers, and there's nothing really memorable about it.
Everything about it was wrong.
Which which is right. That's what I'm looking for, but with more intent.
If we're trying to wreck it on purpose,
because yeah, it's, I mean, they did have a lot of great ideas wrecking this story, but there were moments that I didn't hate, so we've got to do something about that. Oh man, it was rough, Ted. This has been a hard watch, and
you did this to us, Matt.
I'm sort of sorry. I'm kind of glad we did it. I don't know. I have a lot of mixed feelings. I
am really tempted to make you watch the rest of the movies now.
I'm traumatized by this whole thing. I mean, I assume that they get worse and worse. I've heard weird rumors that the Beast Wars movie is actually like pretty good, but I also heard that he didn't direct that one, so that might explain it.
I don't know. My son and my daughter just told me that that the Barbie movie was good, and I don't know about that, but they really think it was.
I am sort of intrigued by the Barbie movie. I saw her pictures that she posted on Instagram from going to the Barbie movie, and I was like, are you low-key interested? Yeah, I'm not going to pay to go see it in a theater. surrounded by kids, but yeah, it's I'm sort of interested. It's probably better than this. It's got to be better than this.
It probably is. I'm not going to go
It's
out of
not
my way to
directed
watch
by
it.
Michael Bay. It
Are
has
you
to be
sure?
better than this. I am. It's directed by Greta Gerwig, so I know it's not directed by Michael Bay.
All right. Well, I mean, apparently you know more than I do because I had no idea.
That's that's basically the thing I know about it. I think I know who the two main actors are, and I find them pleasant enough. So I would watch it.
I know about the movie what my children told me, and that you told me that it's directed by a person named Greta.
It looks really pink.
I'm sure.
I after my thing the summer after my sophomore year of college, maybe I worked for a few months at a Toys R Us in Lloyd Center in Portland. And one day, my entire shift, I was told to reorganize and face and tidy the Barbie aisle, which is a whole aisle segment, like a whole length of shelves, both sides, uh, like 6 feet high, uh, just just pink everywhere. and it was just chaos because kids go through there and no one puts anything back where it belongs, and they just stick them, everything's the same color. It literally took my whole shift to reorganize the Barbie aisle at this Toys R Us. It was ridiculous, and there are so many fucking kinds of Barbies, and this was like 1994, so I assume it's 1,000 times worse now. But holy shit, what a weird world that was.
That's fun.
There was the one that I always remember is I don't remember what the particular doll was called, but it was a Barbie that had there was a little ring kind of mounted in the space between her boobs. And from that ring in the middle, it goes up in a heart shape around her boobs and then down sort of to her navel, like a perfect, sort of cartoon heart shape on her front. And if you grab that little ring between her boobs and you pull it, then that heart shape pops off of her, revealing a reservoir in the doll. And inside is makeup for you to wear.
I don't know how to auditorily respond with the head shake that I just had.
Yeah, so that was that was my takeaway. And it's this weird Barbie thing that has imprinted itself on me for nearly 30 years now.
Okay. Well, hey, that's Barbie.
She was more than meets the eye, is what I'm saying, Ted.
Well, I mean, it all becomes meeting the eye eventually. The question is, was she a cyborg? Or did somebody murder her and fill her full of makeup?
I'm assuming that she was taxidermied by Ed Gein, and then stuffed full of scented pastes and putties.
That's legit.
So it happens to all of us eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to clap with that idea, but I mean, it's still a little.
So
icky.
are we gonna do our pitches next time, or are we gonna take a little break and do something else? How you want to handle this? What I'm saying, I guess, is do you need to step away from Transformers for a moment, or do you want to just plow right through?
I could move on to another subject, and then we could do a special session recording about our Transformers movie.
Okay, well, I guess we don't have to commit in this moment, especially since this will be recorded in whatever order. If something else occurs to you in a dream,
If I have one,
then we can definitely bring that forth. But yeah, I'll sleep on it too, and sleep on this whole amazing, great, and terrible Transformers movie. And yeah, I think I will look forward to not thinking about it for a minute.
I think it's a good move.
Oh, but I mean, I have so many ideas now.
Just remember, Europhilia probably doesn't belong in anybody's movie.
It never even occurred to me to put it in mine. Although, I mean, maybe just for you, I should create just one isolated scene that really and thoroughly explores the possibilities of robot Europhilia. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
We got the only
We
way
got
out
we got
is through.
we got Sam
There's
Elliott and
upwards
Bigfoots
and downwards and pisswards and oopswards. We never know what's going to happen in this
more
wild
like
world of
Bumblebee,
Transformers.
am I right?
Bumblebee indeed.
Optipiss Prime. Ah! Ah!
Crap shit.
Oh my lord, stop lubricating this podcast.
All right, Matt. I love you.
I love you too, Ted. I'm sorry for everything and excited to do it again.
Yeah, you did this to us, but hey, go giant robots.
Yes, transform and fucking stop. Jesus Christ.
Depot Devoid is hosted by Matt Fagan and Ted Fagan. Depot Devoid is not hosted by Ian Fagan because he died and we miss him. Reach us at depotdevoidpodcast@gmail.com.